Remember, under the Bainimarama government, we introduced the minimum wage. There was never a national minimum wage in Fiji. So we started off, a few years ago, the last review that was done was in 2018, when it went up to 268 an hour. Now, please remember, the minimum wage is what do you call a national minimum wage is for people. There are other sectors of employment where the minimum wage is higher. So if you're a waiter, from memory, the minimum wage for a waiter is $3.45 an hour. The minimum wage for forklift driver, boiler maker, a truck driver, bus driver, they have different minimum wage, which is a lot higher than 268. Electrician, plumbers, their minimum wage is a lot higher. So when we review the minimum wage, it will have an impact on their wages too. That will also go up. And of course, we had said in 2018, we'll review the minimum wage every 2 years. Look at what's happening globally, in Fiji, etc. But we could not do that during COVID. People had already lost their jobs. So we could not go and do a review of the wages. It would have been unrealistic. But now the borders opened up. That's why we're doing a review now. The way it works is that it's an independent professor who comes from Australia. He goes and meets all the unions, the employers, the employees, hears submissions, and then they recommend a minimum wage rate to us. And the government ultimately makes that decision. So please remember, minimum wage is for those people who are unskilled. I've got somebody who wants to come and cut grass at my house, I have to pay them the minimum wage. Or somebody's digging a hole or whatever it is, you dig a foundation. But if somebody's driving a bus, the minimum wage is a lot higher. It's different. A boiler maker, a waiter, etc. So that's currently being reviewed, and obviously government is keen for this to take place because it has not been reviewed for 2 years. Plus now, as we mentioned earlier on, the price of things are also going up. So we have to ensure that people have enough wages to be able to, cater for their day-to-day living. But remember one thing, the minimum wage, those people who are in the informal sector, it does not affect you, with you working for yourself. So the guy who's selling the boo by the roadside, minimum wage does not affect him. The lady selling boiled ebi, it does not affect her. So a lot of people forget that nearly 130,000 Fijians actually are engaged in the informal sector. They make their own living. So it does not affect them, but if you have a wage increase, the ability to sell stuff to people who could not perhaps afford things before, maybe instead of buying one packet of boiled ebi, they'll buy 2 packets now. That's one of the, you have to understand that. Some businesses, of course, say, if you make the wages too high, I won't be able to, the cost of my labor will go up, so I can't export it. Those people won't buy it because the cost of my goods will go up. Because I'm making garments in Fiji and the Bangladeshis are paying far less wages, or whichever country, or Vietnam is paying far less, whatever country it is. So those things also have to be looked at, because we don't want people to lose their jobs also. So it's a balancing act. So we also will be looking at ways as to how we can do other things in the budget to ensure that the cost of things are maintained at a particular price, at a reasonable level. But please remember, as we've said, if you read all the articles, the price of things will continue to go up at least for the next 6 months to 1 year. Because, as you know, there's a war in Ukraine. Russia is fighting a war in Ukraine. Now, that part of Europe, there's a lot of fuel and gas that comes from there. So if the supply of gas stops to Europe, there'll be less gas available in the world. So places like Qatar that has a lot of gas will suddenly have more demand. So the gas price will go up globally. The cooking gas price will go up. We have no control over that. But it's because of the war that can have an impact on us. Because of the cost of the containers, it has an impact on us. We can't control things outside the country, but we can try and control what's happening in the country. But also it's important for people to understand where we are and what we need to do at least for the 6 months to 1 year, and then of course things will plateau off. Hopefully the war won't expand everywhere, but it'll just remain there. But from the freight perspective, 6 to 12 months time, you'll see the prices actually level.